Hi guys, welcome to the day 4 of your SQL learning from zero to hero. And topic on SQL into your system. But before that, I want to check like if the live is okay. I can see the live being operated from here. Let me quickly check on my phone as well in case I just started and the live is not happen in my channel. That's gonna be really problematic. Isn't there a problem with the live settings stream? There's YouTube, but I can't see the live here. Hello? I think there's a problem with the yeah, it's a live. There's a problem with my this thing. It should be here. Why I can't see here? Dashboard, code for coin, live. Yeah, see, it took time for it to come. Okay, I think we are good now. We can get started with the thing. So, hey guys, welcome again. And those people who don't know about me, my name is Nitin Rawat, and this series is all about live session that we're gonna have for 1 hour, 1 hour goes to. And during this time, we're gonna take a specific topic of SQL, and we will learn it together. Because thing is like I haven't touched SQL for years, and I felt like there's a lot of things that I forget, and I need to refresh it as soon as possible before I go for interview. So in that scenario, I decided to create a live session every single day because I found it if I am not working every single day, I will forget. And then the best part of live session is like I can simply come here as part of accountability, and it gives me motivation to keep on repeating the same thing again and again and again. So that's why I decided to do lives where I can learn with you guys. So it suffices both the things. So today what we're gonna learn and how we know about that what we're gonna learn today tomorrow. For this one we created one syllabus. If you're not aware of that one, there is the live session for day 3 and day 2. You can simply check for day 2 for roadmap. Okay. So in case you don't want to go there, simply come to my GitHub here. And if you want to get the GitHub link, simply click here, go down and get here. Okay. Simply go to 001 sequence structure, and here there are multiple directories. You don't have to go on the top three because that's something related with something else. Go to directory number 4, that is SQL 0 to hero, because this is the series that we are currently working on. So you have to go to the roadmap here, and in the roadmap you can see we have divided weekly and day wise what exactly we are doing. As part of yesterday, we learned what is SQL database and RDBMS. Don't worry, before we proceed for the day 4, we will make sure we will definitely I think day 2, I will make sure that whatever we have learned in day 1 or previous 2 or 3 days, we recap this and then we move on. Okay, that's the structure. But you need to understand that today we are gonna learn how to install PostgreSQL and why we are going with the Postgres. Okay. So let me give you a recap of what is SQL and RDMS. For this one, again, we go to our directory of 004 SQL 0 to hero, and we gonna go in the day number one. That is what is SQL and RDMS. Okay. So firstly, we need to understand what is SQL. SQL stands for Structure Query Language and it's a programming language. Okay. As you know that the language that we communicate with person to person is called human language. Therefore, a language that enable us to communicate with person to machine or machine to machine is called programming language. Okay, so since SQL enable us to communicate with the machine directly, that's why it's a programming language. It is SQL as for structure, Q for query, L for language that we will learn why it is and how it is. First thing you need to understand SQL is a declarative language. So what declarative means? It will tell the machine what to do instead of how to do. How machine will take care of it. The best example is suppose there is a data inside some place and I want entire data. I will tell the machine that give me the entire data. Right now, if you are using Python something, first you have to connect to database, then write the piece of code that access the particular database. Then you need to write the instruction to capture it, load in the memory. Then you need to write another function to process it, then another function to output it. But you don't need to do anything of this. This coding of connecting, analyzing, doing at the back is taken care of by another software that we will look into it or we will get to know about it more as we progress. Okay. So core idea is SQL is declarative. It tell you what you want. It will enable you communicate with the machine and the communication will be what you want rather than how you want. Okay. The best example is like if there is a student information that's stored in a machine and you need the name and age, you will simply write this small statement that I need like select means get me the name and age of all the student data where their grade is A. See, and semicolon is like to close this request, this question or this query. So this is the query that will be fired on a machine and machine will get you information. That's why SQL is declarative. Usually we haven't written a big code. We just is a one liner where we want this thing. So you can say it. You say what you want. This is what you want, right? You don't say how to scan the table, which index to use. The database handle that automatically for you. Okay. So now second very important thing that we didn't discuss, but I'm just telling you because this will come as part of other. I just kept it here for our reference is four crude operation that any beginner will do. First is creation, second is read, third is update, and fourth is delete. So that's why this is called crude. C for create, R for read, U for update, and D for delete. So this CRUD operation we will be performing day-to-day basis. So this is the part of operation that every beginner has to learn. Okay. Now let's quickly delve into SQL also handles structure. So obviously, if it's a language, it must have two things. First one is word that is called keyword in programming language or SQL programming language. Second one is in a language, there is always a grammar. How to fit the word in a proper manner that it makes sense. Similarly, in SQL programming language, it has syntax that we need to follow or structure we need to follow. Okay. For example, if I have to uh, tell the machine to create a space for student information. That's then we need to follow a structure with the proper keywords that makes sense, and then we will throw it to your machine, and machine will understand that you need to create some space for student storage, and then it will automatically do for that one. What kind of a storage, what everything that will we learn slowly and gradually. Okay. So now database RDBMS. Okay, before I move to database, we need to know one more thing here. I think I should add there here. That will make more sense for you guys. Okay, so let me quickly delve into here. uh, introduction to SQL. I think because if you go with this particular uh, series, top to bottom, you don't need to worry about that because that's something already covered. So in the introduction itself, I have covered it. Uh, okay, where is that introduction? Ah, see, I already defined most of the thing here. So if you go in sequential order, many things will be revised again and again. So if you are preparing for interview as a fresher or as a uh, uh, experienced guy, trust me, this is something that you must follow. It's like a really good thing. So just checking out if somebody joined. No. Okay, leave it. I'm good. So still not here, dude. Roadmap. Roadmap won't have that. I did add that. Did I removed it? Do. Just give me a sec, but it's like formal language query. Yeah. So this is something I will quickly add to here as well as an introduction part after. This is the same thing. Introduction. Yep. In the SQL part, actually, I don't want to make it congested. So I thought of like, oh yeah, I don't want to make it congested. So I haven't update. I didn't like add it to this one, but I think I should add it for you guys for convenience. Or should I not add it? Because I want to make it as simple as possible for you guys. Also handle the structure because here it should be the definition of structure, query, and language that already defined in here. I was thinking, just give me 1 second. Should I add it or not? Because see, SQL is called a structure query language, but this three define is intuitive feature. Why? As for structure, why Q is for query, why alpha language that is defined here. I want to understand should I keep it here or not? Um, because if I keep it, it's gonna make it much more lengthier and it's already covered as part of introduction. So if you're skipping it, then it's your loss. I think I won't keep it. Because if you juggle like this, it will make sense and it will be just. I was thinking, should I? How much space is occupying? One, scroll, two, scroll, three, scroll. How many scroll it? One, two, three, four, five, six, seven, eight. 8 and 3, 11. And I'm making sure that it does not exceed 10 or 11 scroll. SQL. I think I won't add it, dude. I won't add it because it will make more congested. You have to follow the structure. Okay. So I will be very quick on this one since we are already recapping. So this is more specific based on the knowledge, but if you really want to understand what exactly SQL stand for, you have to go to the introduction to SQL. So SQL again is a structure query language. Initially, it was called SQL. Here, SQL was initially called SQL. I got confused with these two names. So let me redefine it. Right now, SQL, that is a structure query language, which when it was initially developed in 1970 by EF Code as a relational data model, it was called SQL, and it stands for structure query, structure English query language. Okay, structure English query language. And trust me, initially this name was something they were going to trademark it, but they found out that some other company is using it and it's already trademarked. So they come up with the idea of dropping this one and dropping few UE extra, and they make it as SQL. That is a structure query language. Simple. Now there is three things that this three acronyms define. First one is structured. That means data in SQL is organized in a highly structured format. That means the SQL as a programming language can operate only on highly structured formatted data. And what that data is tabular form of data or table form of data. So any data that can be represented in tabular form is called, we can simply use SQL. So let me show you on Notepad. And I think I should make it A4 as well. So the 0004 install PostgreSQL. So I will be very quick of this one because we already discussed it in our live session very thoroughly, so you don't have to worry. So first of all, SQL. So firstly, as for structure, okay. So it give you couple of roles. First one, it can work on highly structured data, and that highly structured data is tabular form of data. First is it will work on tabular form of data. Okay. Second one, to work it efficiently or to work it properly, we need to understand few things. In tabular form of data, you know that the table look like this, where this session is called row and this is particular column. Okay. So any data that is available in tabular form, our SQL can work on it. But there are few conditions to work it efficiently or properly. We need to ensure two things. So it's like 2.1. That is, every row should represent one entity and every column should represent the entity's attribute or characteristics. For example, suppose we are creating a table that represent student information. Okay. So all the rows should represent one student at a time. Okay. And all the column in that should represent that student's information. Okay, for example, let's say here is the name Rob, age is 22, and he is a student of uh, computer science. Then we have another student whose name is Nile. His age is 21, and he is a student of mechanical engineering. Okay. Then we have another student, Reb, for the age of 19, and she is a student of civil engineering. So now see how it is. And that's led to rule number 2.2, that is all the entities in a table. So in a same table, in a table should be similar and have same characteristics. Why I said that, suppose in the same student table, again you have Rob for 22 CS, then you have Nile 21 mechanical, then you have very mischievous mindset. You like, why don't I add my uncle's name? My uncle Sam. Uncle Sam, come here with the age of 30, and you put him as like undergrad. Does this entry make any sense? Like, he did his undergrad 30 at the age of 30, but he did that in 1980s. And currently is 2026. Does this particular entry make any sense? Despite the fact that it represents a student with the age of 30 and something, a course that actually is being taught in the university, but he did that in 1980s. There is no relevance with this table, right? all the record inside a table that we are going to use in our SQL programming language. In this table should definitely should have similar entities with same characteristic, because it doesn't fit in this rule number 2, so that's why you should not add the same. Okay, got it, got it. And if you do or follow this three rules, rule 1 and rule 2, trust me, your foundation is solid for structure. And later part we will just, as we progress, we will know. So that is called SQL. Now we will learn about query. So quickly move to query. And don't worry about this thing. As we progress, everything is available as part of your uh, roadmap. For example, see drop grade, we are learning it. Then data type, we are learning. Then insert, delete, CRUD operation, I was talking about, we are learning it. Then select, again CRUD operation, we are learning it. Select, insert, update, delete, CRUD, create, read, update, and delete. Everything is here, right? So everything that is being part one by one. Don't worry about this one. Don't worry about this one. So let's quickly jump to Q for query. So the primary purpose of SQL is to query database, to ask it question and retrieve meaningful answers. Again, SQL is called declarative language that we were learning here, right? Declarative language. And that was the reason the structure is formatted in such a way you throw query to retrieve some information, and how it is being executed is part of a machine. You don't need to bother about what you have to bother is, you know, the keywords, you know, the syntax. Then you form a language, SQL language, and then fire it and retrieve the data or information that you need specifically for that case. That's why this particular mechanism is called query. When you fire instruction to retrieve information in SQL is called query, because here we follow a keyword and a structure in such a way that you just throwing a question to database to retrieve information. You are not telling him what to do and how to do it. You just asking him what you need. And the structure we're gonna learn slowly as part of CRUD operation that I told you we're gonna follow in a couple of days. So you don't need to worry. So again, query is programming language is a declarative language that enable developer to ask question from machine and retrieve meaningful information. That's why it's called query. We always query or ask question to machine. And that's why even after decades 1970 till here, this is still being used in multiple big firms and even mid cap and the small cap. So how powerful this. So that's why it really fascinate me, like how one thing changed the entire course of your human IT revolution. This is really interesting. Last one is language. I told you, since we need to communicate with machine, right? That's why we need a set of rules that enable effective communication. And this set of rules, when is being used to communicate, is called language. And since we are communicating human to machine or machine to machine, that's why it's called programming language. Perfect. So in a language, there is two major things that it should hold. First one is word, that is called keywords in programming language, and second one is grammar, that is called syntax for us, and that we will learn for every case one by one. Don't worry about this one. And that's how SQL name justify its features. So now SQL is done, quickly go into database. Okay. Now what is database? I told you SQL operates on a database is an organized collection of data stored and managed so it can easily access, update and maintain. That we understood. So remember this thing is an organized collection of data. It is not, it's a concept that when we organize the data in a particular format, that is our operation. Okay. And when this organization of data is in a specific format, then we call this particular ecosystem as database. It's not a hardcore thing, it's a concept. Okay. SQL is concept till it is being implemented. That we can do this in this way and we will call this as SQL. Okay. Uh so database, what is database? Let me quickly teach you. It's very easy for like to understand Travis. So right now, so far in day four, for a recap, we understood what is SQL, right? Now database. So in the SQL, we understood SQL is a programming language that enable us to operate on tabular or table formatted data, right? Table data with two rules. First is it should be tabular form. Second, which have two rules. First one is uh even I forget the rules, dude. Sometimes it happens that when you teach and you forget. In tabular form of data. Uh, but I'm just taking a call. Just well, yeah. Uh, I don't remember. No. Check the CCTV. Oh, okay. Bye. Sorry guys, from my place of work that I'm working, I'm really sorry for this one. So, oh yeah, I forget. So yeah, so rule number 2.1 is all the rows should represent entity and all the columns represent the entity's characteristic or attribute. Second rule is really important that all the entities in that table should be similar and the characteristic should be same. Okay. So that table or that particular table represent one community. Okay. It represent one community or same theme of in data, right? So that's simple. So database is nothing. But when we collect and store tables in a place which have some relationship with one another. Okay. For example, right now you are a developer that is trying to store the information of a university. So one thing you can do it, you can store all the information about the university in a table. But then what will happen? It becomes so big that it will be hard to even process the data. What you do, you divide this table into multiple smaller tables that represent to a particular uh, information. For example, the first one can be student information. When you have the information about a department, when you create another table that holds the information about the prof, then you have one more information about how about we say what more it can be prof student department of mm, finances department than your course. Okay, so now student data can be linked with the department and the professor and the course. So it will have certain columns that help us to link with this department. So No, I think not department. A professor and a course. So a student must be working or studying under some professor, right? So it can be linked to this one. A student can be definitely in some stream, right? It can be computer science, mechanical, civil, electric, electronic. So there will be some information that will establish a linkage between this, and this relationship is called it can be established using primary and your foreign key using this too. Okay, so that's something we relationship building. Professor should have one department to this one, right? And his whole this database, we can call it university, because ultimately this represent all the information about the university, right? So database is a collection of tabular data or tables have some relationship among them, relationship pointer. And what we wrote it here, database is an organized collection of data stored and managed, so it is easily accessed, updated, maintained. Okay, so similarly, database is nothing but a collection of similar table. For table, what we say is a collection. So for the table or SQL table, always like SQL table, it's always collection of similar data, or better is entities. SQL database is DB. I'm representing DB is database. So, okay, this is something IT people use. So remember, DB is for database. DB. SQL DB is collection of similar SQL tables. And why now this we understand in general is this one, but why we do it to organize organize, maintain data or SQL data for better access and manipulation of data. I think manipulation is the right word that can include update, delete, modify, whatever is manipulate data easily. Okay, so one thing we understood, SQL table is a collection of similar entities and SQL database is a collection of similar tables. When I say similar, that means they have some relationship similar to how the table have the similar entities. Okay, but so far what we understood is about the SQL and database. These are just the concepts. If we are able to create table which have similar entities with the same uh, characteristics or attribute, we call it SQL tables. If we are able to store them in a same memory or some way in these similar kind of tables, SQL tables is being stored together in a particular fashion that it make us easy to access, easy to manipulate, is called database. So database is just a collection of similar SQL table, right? This is just a concept when when we started working on like SQL tables are nothing but collection of similar entities, and database is nothing but collection of similar tables. And SQL programming language enable us to access this table, manipulate and get the data. And the storage of database help us to increase that operation more effectively, right? So SQL as a programming language can help us to access and retrieve us data, but this database storage make it that operation highly effective. We can simply store this as we like it, okay? But if we store them in a format of like this way, database is just a way of storing the tables, okay, where we collect the similar tables in a space. So that when we start operating the SQL programming language, it increases its efficiency of retrieving the data, manipulating the data. Okay. So this concept of SQL plus database and SQL tables. Okay. This is tables and SQL as a programming language to manipulate data. These three things, one, two, three. How to implement the SQL table, how to create them and store them, how to create the database of keeping them similar data or tables together in such a fashion that the when we execute the SQL programming language, the efficiency of this operation, manipulation of this operation can increase highly. This three concept is being implemented some with something software that is called relational database management system, and there are multiple versions by multiple companies. So this particular software that enables you to create and store tab SQL tables in a fashion of collecting the similar table in a space called database, and then we can execute our SQL programming language to manipulate the data is being all together is implemented on a machine using called a software that is relational database management system. And you understand relation because ultimately in a table there's a relationship between entities, and in a database there is a relationship between the tables because a database will hold the similar tables. So there can be multiple database within this system. Okay, one can be for university, one can be for an organization, one can be for anything. Okay, and the best that initially came was MySQL, then Microsoft SQL Server, then SQLite, and many more. But the one that we gonna use is PostgreSQL. Yeah, yeah. So it's Postgre Gre SQL. Why? First one is right now is high in demand in the IT market. I worked on MySQL SQLite, I think I worked on, but it's way back in my college time. MySQL also in the college time. MySQL, I worked in IT. So if you are working for a big firms that usually stick to the enterprise level, so they go with the MySQL because they can like they have like better faith in this one. They that's the legacy system of the system they're using for a long time. They don't want to easily switch it. And with the advent of cloud technology of Azure by Microsoft, I think yeah, they already have entire ecosystem, so they definitely don't want to switch. But nowadays new companies are experimenting, even the big firms are experimenting with a new project, so they are going with more open source and the client need, and that's why they are slowly integrating. I'm not telling you that it is discarding MS SQL or something, it is integrating because Postgres being high in demand, but there's one more feature that I definitely love, that it is highly integratable. It can be integrated with cloud technology of Azure. You can integrate it in Azure, then it can be integrated with AWS and many more. And you can simply run in on premise or simply on single computer. Okay. And that's the reason we decided that we will today on day 004 or 04, whatever it is, we will learn how to install PostgreSQL. So remember, it's Postgre. So that let's do few research that why it is called Postgres and what is the characteristic. Because ultimately, we have to ensure that we are understanding, right? So if I have to ask, like, what is PostgreSQL? But if you are following the live, you already know it's a relational database management system. And see here, Postgre is a powerful open source object relational database. It's nothing but RDBMS that use that use and extends the SQL language combined with many features that safely store and scale the most complicated data workload. So it's similarly is same dude. It's nothing different. Is your relational database management system. So I think we can write it here. So SQL roadmap. Okay, one SQL roadmap. We'll leave it. PostgreSQL. I will just do the proper. So what we learn powerful SQL and extend the SQL. So Postgre is a powerful open source object relationship relational database system. Okay, but nothing you can simply like relational database management system. Okay, Postgres is this one, and Postgres are usually written in this format. Uh, so whereas P is in caps, then gray, small, and then SQL is also in capitals. So there is what I love about this one is we have the entire thing as a documentary from the Postgre company itself. So from they already kept everything like download, documentary, community, everything. So it's become easy. For example, if you have to write what is Postgres, Postgres is a powerful open source object relation database system that uses and extends the SQL language combined with many features and that safely store and scale most complicated data workload. So we don't need to learn about the history something, but I should write here what is PostgreSQL, and this will go at the center, and we will fold it just to give it. And what is the structure of line? Okay. So if you learn the origin of PostgreSQL date back in to 1986, because 1970 was something that SQL was invented, and 1986 after like 70, 80, 16 years later as part of the Postgres project at the University of California at Berkeley. Oh, that's the University of California, and has nearly 40 years of active development on the core platform. Oh my God. University of California at Berkeley. PostgreSQL has earned a strong reputation of its proven architecture, reliable data integrity, robust feature set, and extensibility, and the dedication of the open source community behind the software to consistently deliver performant and innovative solution. PostgreSQL run on all major operating system, has been ACID compliant. ACID is atomicity, consistency, isolation, and durability. It's something we will cover it. Don't worry about this one. But thing is, if you want to develop a new system of relational database management system, or if you take any of this one, they all should follow the asset property in order to maintain its integrity. And the reason is database is used for day-to-day data storage, like banking system, that transition happen every single day, every single hour, every single minute and second. But all of a sudden, if the light is gone and the money deducted from you, and suppose it's supposed to add on someone's account, but it never happened. You lose your money, he never retrieve it. Okay, this kind of a problem, all the major nuances up to down This can be easily tackled using asset property. So if your relational database management system does follow asset property, trust me, it it address lot of nuances that will come into relational database management system day-to-day operations. And we will learn about this one. Don't worry about this one. Postgre. So Postgres. So PostGIS GeoPartial Database Extender. It's no surprise that PostgreSQL has become the open source relational database of choice for many people and organizations. Getting started with the PostgreSQL has never been easier. Pick a project you want to build and let PostgreSQL safely and robustly store you. Why use PostgreSQL? That's something I really want to know about this as well. PostgreSQL comes with many features aimed to help developer build application administrator to protect data integrity and build fault tolerant environment and help you manage your data no matter how big or small the data set. In addition to being free and open source, PostgreSQL is highly extensible. For example, you can define your own data set, build out customer function, even write code from different programming language without recompiling your database. PostgreSQL, you can define your own data type, build out customer or custom function, and even write code from different programming language, recompiling your data. Oh my god. Uh, Extensible, for example, you can define your own data type, build out custom function, and even write code from different programming language. That's interesting, buddy. That's something we'll learn later, don't worry. So, features is open source and free to use. There's a difference. Sometimes it's open source, but sometimes it's not free to use. Free to use. Okay, so it's open source and it's free to use. That's the first thing. Could be at least a sure define. Being free and open source, Postgre is highly extensible. That's a lot. It's highly extensible. What does that mean is I can uh, create custom uh, data types, functions, and use different programming languages without restructuring. So when we say we can use a different programming languages, when you need to integrate one programming language into your software, there's definitely need to change the software at architecture level to make it uh, adjust that new programming language in the system, because every programming language has set of operation that enable the connectivity with your machine or assembly language or machine, so that machine understand how to execute this thing. So I think they might be using some layer to make the distinction and change it to the machine level. I don't know how the architecture follows, but I don't need to restructure my the PostgreSQL architecture. So without recompiling your uh, database. Okay, that's pretty cool. So I don't need to touch the storage or architecture. The PostgreSQL will take care of this one. What are the different programming language I can do it? Yes. Uh, PostgreSQL allow user-defined function to be written in other programming language beside SQL and C. This other programming language are generally called procedural language PL. For a function written in procedural language, the database server has no built-in knowledge about how to interpret the language source text. Instead, the task is passed to a spatial database server has no built-in knowledge on about how to interpret the function source text. Instead, the task is passed to a special handler that knows the detail of that language. Wow, that handle that handler could either do all the work of parsing, syntax analysis, and execution, etc. itself, or it could serve as glue between PostgreSQL, an existing implementation of a program language. The handler itself is the language function compiled. Handler itself is a single into shareable object and load on demand just as any SQL feature. There are currently four procedural languages in the PostgreSQL distribution: PL, pgSQL, PLTCL, Perl, and programming language Python. PL is procedural language. Okay, these are the language are generally called procedural language. Interesting. Why I don't need to go. First, user defined function to write. Mm, It allow you to write custom functions or user defined functions using different programming language. That's something as well, and these languages are also called procedural languages. Okay, and what I learned more about this one, so it okay, was gray either that either what he does either compile uh convert to compile and what it does compile and oh yeah parsing everything it does work all all the work of compiling, parsing, syntax, syntax handling, and execution, or it acts as glue between the uh, text code and Postgre. So it syntax analysis, execution, etc. itself, or it serves as a glue between these two. Okay. The handler itself is a the handler itself is a C language function compiled into a shareable object and load on demand just like any C other function. Yep, itself is a C language function. Oh, dude, that's interesting, and I think I should. And this handler is a C function defined what is called C language function compiled. Handler is defined in C language, which is later compiled and executed executed based on requirement. So this is really something I learn new, dude. This is really something new. Okay, highly extensible. Three features start boom. Now, PostgreSQL tries to confer with this SQL standard where such conformances does not contradict traditional feature or could lead to poor architecture decision. Many of the features required by the SQL standard are supported, though something with slightly differing syntax of function, obviously. Furthermore, move towards conformances can be expected over time as the version 18 release in okay, as you extend confirm at least 1970 out of 170. Skew. Oh my god. This is interesting, buddy. SQL has 170 mandatory features as a core conferences. Okay, this is interesting. I can write it. 170 mandatory features. I think as a note I will write it. This is really interesting. SQL has 170 mandatory, mandatory, right? Mandatory features as 2023 core conferences. Yeah, conformance 2023 core conformances. Okay, before I move to this one, I need to do one more thing here. That is lang. It supports 4PL uh, programming procedure language PGSQL PGSQL P, PGSQL. I think that's for Oracle if I'm not wrong. And PCL. This is uh this is for PSQL or PCL is for MS SQL. Perl. Okay, Perl. Now I never use that one. I heard a lot, but yeah. And Python. PCL like PCL as programming language. Programming language. TCL is a multiple programming paradigm including object imperative. Functional. Imperative is just an opposite of declarative of our SQL. Language is commonly embedded into C application for rapid prototyping. No, then I never used it. TCL. No, I never use it. Guys, I'm sorry. It's not like as a developer you're gonna use everything. There was a time COBOL and Perl was used and people switched to other than Java. Nowadays people are switching more towards with Python, but this depends where we are flowing because currently the AI is the boom and I think next 5 years or at least a decade or two is gonna be towards AI. Somewhere Python gonna take a lead and tech industry at least if not the front end but at least at the back Python gonna work behind the scene, but Python will have more of exposure in terms of the newly creative projects. Yeah, that I believe. It's not like everything will be go away, but the need and the demand in the future will decrease significantly. And the one that's already established and people don't want to change, these application need the specific engineer. So don't worry about that one. But yeah, Python is a good one. Maybe in the future something might come as Python light version or something that will be much faster and better. But you never know. You never know, buddy. Who thought like Python will gain such a tremendous popularity in the recent few packets? So everybody thought like Java gonna be like have such tough competition because Java was like a breakthrough like in terms of commercial use, and all of a sudden then Python came in. Nobody like, oh, was okay, it looks so easy to do, but all of a sudden people are started using it, and then AI and the machine learning, boom, everyone is like Python, 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 Python. Okay, so we can close this one. So being in exist, so we gonna learn it in our other one extensible. So uh, below is an inexhaustive list of various feature found in PostgreSQL, with more being added in the major release. Okay, data type, primitive, structure, documented, geometrical, and customization. That's we're gonna learn as part of Postgres. But do we have something for Postgres? No, we haven't even installed it, right? Do. And data integrity. This we will cover as part of data type, right? Yeah, data types. Don't worry about this one. Great drop. Data integrity we will learn as part of this one. Hmm, this is really interesting. I think I can keep it this. I don't know. It's in the about, right? We don't have. We can simply commit. And is here. Hmm. Actually, so I think we can get started with the downloads. Okay, it's installed. Simply click on the downloads. You can check your installer. Mine is Windows. Okay, so interactive note. The installer is hosted by EDP, not on PostgreSQL community server. It's open source. I think they don't maintain the server, so it's maintained by interactive installer by EDP. If you have an issue with the website it hosted on, please contact with this one. So that's an interesting note. I should put it like no, I don't need to put it because that's a server-based SQL Server developer or the SQL Server manager, administrator. He will take care of this one. I don't need to bother. But they don't. Crux is so server is a place where this is being hosted and you send a request and this goes to the server. Server is nothing but your computer or your CPU where it is stored and process the information. Now, either you own it or you ask someone to provide that as a feature or service. And Postgres SQL, despite being a huge community, this is open source, and they were like, "Why should we bother?" They ask EDB to host their the PostgreSQL into their system. So in case we want to download it, we need to go to their computers and get the request, and then get the developer, the installer into our system, and then we can install it. So in case it's not up there, simply send a mail to webmaster@enterprise db.com. The installer will include PostgreSQL Server, pgAdmin, a graphical tool for managing and developing your database, Stack Builder, a package manager for downloading and installing additional PostgreSQL tool and drivers. Stack Builder includes management, integration, migration, replication, geospatial connectors, and other tools. Okay, so this is nothing but a separate code of piece of code that enables you to manage and install the new things if needed, because ultimately they will give you basic package, and based on your requirement you might want other feature that is being available, but you need to install it in your system, because if you give everything installed in your system, it will boom blast. Sometimes as a student you don't need all these things, you just need a simple database that help you to store and access the information. That's it. You don't need to add more things into it. It will just lead more, it will take more space, it will take more time to execute your query. Okay, the installer can run in graphical or silent install mode. Okay, the Windows installer is designed to be straightforward, fast way to get up and running with Postgre. In the unlikely event that you have issue with the installer, please report them on the installer GitHub page. Oh, they have the GitHub page. Can we check? Do we need to check? Why not? Issue with the install package should be reported to be appropriate project directly. Advanced user can also download a zip archive of the binaries without installer. Okay, that means directly file. When you get the package like the exe executable file, you simply click it. But at the back, you are simply getting all the files store in that compressed form into your system, and then it execute and try to compile it with your machine. But you can simply get it there, so you can simply change your environment variable to directly point to this one and then get this. So it's a long process. We won't go into that thing because it take more time. Simply get the executable file, that will take care of everything. Platform support, EDB is the one who is currently hosting all the new release into their computer. So if you want to access, we need to go to their computer. That means we need to get their IP. So EDB installer. Okay. So right now we will go with the latest version platform. But PostgreSQL failed problem. This is something. Okay. So downloads this one. Uh, they generally can be expected to run on other comparable version for text. But where is the download this? Dude, sometimes your brain is like, just download the installer here at the first. Okay, so let me quickly show you again. So when you go into the Postgre homepage, when you will come here, simply go to download and then select your operating system. Right now, my operating system that helped me to communicate with the machine on my computer is Windows. And the first one is the download installer. Now Windows 8 X32. Mine is 62-bit computers. Okay, so I don't need to bother on this one. I can simply click. I think one thing more very sticky. Display settings. Uh, computer so more properties. Okay, so for the system. Uh, check. 16 GB RAM, installer 16 GB processor, Windows, 62-bit operating system, so 64 base of processor. Yeah, so I'm good. So now that's yes. So right now it's installing. G. Meanwhile, I will check if somebody joined. No, I am the only one who is watching. No bother. It's just a start. We have a long way to go. I don't know how long, but dude. And right now I need to go for my job as well. So I'm doing a part time. Don't worry. I will never mess up with you guys. I will make sure. One watching. Hehehe. That's me. Uh, okay, so this installing is gonna take time. Okay, guys, I will quickly come. Wow, just give me a second. Dude, why is running so fast now? I will quickly come. Just let it. Dude, nothing. It's. Um, Buddy, like I'm really surprised because I was not aware of this one to be a good SQL compiled relational database model. You have to have 117 mandatory features. So far, Postgres as of today has 200 and 170, but we don't need to bother about how many. But if you remember, 117, 177 is the mandatory feature as a 2003 core confirmations. It's pretty good. You know what I about like about this open source is free and highly extensible about like we can create on our data types and functions. and 4 languages we can use it, but I think C is also one of them. Yeah, PLSQL, TCL, Perl, and Python. Python is enough. Okay, so I think this is done. So now that you are done here, you will get this pop-up message where it's like setup. So now, so far the files is been placed on your particular a drive or C drive, and now it is asking us to install into your RAM memory or in your system so that it can the files available, and whenever you open feature or the application automatically load and start executing, and the corresponding file that it has so far installed, the installation is like keeping that file in the corresponding directories so that it can access the file and then provide the feature for you, or basically access the code, execute it, and provide the feature that you want to execute. So now we are installing. That's like file setup, and now installing is start. So now setup like next. I think I will go with this one only. Don't touch it if you don't want to change the directory. Let's keep it. So select the component you want to install, clear the component you do not want to install, click. So now this is based on requirement. So far we learned that pgAdmin will help us here. Where it is. Is it let's quickly get back to one. So this pg SQL server that we need, pgAdmin, a geographical tool for managing and developing your uh, database. So that we need it. Stack developer, it might be useful if you want to install more features, so we'll keep it. Command line tool, yeah, let's keep it. SQL Server is definitely needed. That's gonna where we're gonna host our this thing. So yeah, I will keep it all for time being. You can also keep it, or you can experiment it. So the password and repassword, make it very simple that you don't forget. So I will keep it very simple for myself, and I won't reveal. But most of you have already guessed. Uh, Port is 5432. Okay, so port is just your connecting port that let you into your computer. So if you want to make sure that is available online for other people, they need connecting port to connect from your internet into your system. So that's port. Let's don't touch it anything. Okay, setup is ready. So what was it? This. The following settings will be used for the installation directory server. So all this you have already given your approval, so let's do it next. And now it is installing those things right now. So far it got a package, now it is installing to particular directories, so that once you start executing the application, it gives you the rightful information or the feature that you want to access. So, ready, I have only like 10 minutes more, then I have to run run. Dude, I love this. So if you have any doubts so far, let me know. And trust me, guys, I learn a lot today. I learn a lot. And I'm really, really grateful for this opportunity that I am learning with you guys, because I'm pretty sure if I'm learning by myself, I won't be learning this much that I learned so far, and in such a detailed manner that I still remember everything is structured query language, why it was initially called SQL, now why it is SQL. uh, what is SQL now, what is table, what are the entities, what are the row and columns, and why the database. So the structure is forming one by one. Relational database management system, what is it? What is Postgres? Why it is needed? Why is more important than other one? What are the number of the mandatory features so far 2013 23 that a SQL based relational database model or management system should follow? 177. Then it's open source, free to use, highly extensible. That means you can create your own uh, data type. You can create your own function. For the function, you can also use different language to create that function. And since we are creating a function, so that should be a processor language as well. So procedure language is nothing but when you are able to create function where you call that function, so it come and execute as an entity, and you can get some input and then you get the output. So this is called function. That's we will cover as part of Python when we started with this one. So don't worry about this. But for today, I need to make sure that I end this. So meanwhile, it's happening. Why don't we quickly check on our roadmap? For the next day, number 5, we're gonna cover dude, from here the real development will start, like create, drop, alter table and the database and how to create your first database. Dude, this is really important. Unable to record. It's taking more time. Do. My computer is overheating. It might stop working. I might need to end this. Dude, it's working on its extreme. I am happy because this is the first or few time in the last couple of week. I bought this laptop in 2023, if I'm not wrong. Yep, yeah, around that time. And in couple of last week itself, like 4 week, like it's been a month that I started doing this online stuff. Dude, my computer hates every single day. He's like, owner, you held back for last 2 years and now you are making me work like anything. Mm, where are you guys? Why don't you join me? See here, I got only one view. That's me. That's 2 views because one view. That's 2 views because I need to check. Here it will be 2 views again. That I oh dude, I need to change. This is 4. I need to change this screen as well. And don't worry, the corresponding video we are also created in this format. Once I'm done with this series and I will go Postgres, I might come back here to create own videos. This is like I'm using some script and other things to create this. So it's more compact and much more clear to listen. So if you have a time, make sure that you simply go and check this one, please. Please. Do 7 minute left. Buddy, come on. Buddy, you can do this. Buddy, come on. Dude, this is a database management system. Obviously, it will have database coding, then it will have the SQL programming coding that they use, not the exact SQL because exact SQL has 177 data point that has to be confirmed before they can officially say that it's completely compiled. So it's not exactly SQL so far. Then it provide additional information to make it much more enterprise level usable. So obviously it will have more data sets or the more coding and more files. But I have to say 40 years of continuous working on this one, a 4 decade of working of on this open source project by University of California, Berkeley. Hats off guys. Hats off. And it happened after 16 years of SQL invention, dude. So 1970, that's one 1986 University of California, Berkeley. I need to check out, dude. I should check out that. I should check out it. Since we don't have anything to do, University of Galway, no, dude. Cali. No doubt California is the Silicon Valley. Berkeley, dude. Is Silicon Valley is in California? I don't know. Silicon Valley is the northern. See, California, dude. No doubt California become the hub of Silicon Valley. No doubt. University of California, dude. University of California, Berkeley is a public land-grant research university in South Side and North Side neighborhood of Berkeley, California, United States. Oh my God. If in future I decided to go for my degree or my dual masters or like my PhD, why not? I will have this as a list because this is genuinely interesting for me to associate myself with a university that lay the foundation of one of the highly used at the moment uh, database management system. It's so cool, man. That's really cool. I think I should write it about. So 1986, apart from Postgres project, as a part of Postgres project at the University of California for Chile. It was developed by University of